Hi, Dan.
Hello,
Tap,
Mike.
tap, taparoo.
Hello. Get your. Were you on the call a second ago and it got kicked you off?
No, I wasn't. I just signed on.
Okay. Yeah, I tried signing on a little earlier and it kept telling me that the host had another meeting in progress. I am the host.
Well, when I signed in, it said the host hasn't signed in yet. And I
Yeah.
saw a picture of you.
I was in there kicking the other meeting out. So I hope there wasn't an important meeting that I just closed down. So. Oh well. All right. Give some time for some people to jump on. I want to talk about some of the processes, best practices to getting offers accepted, what to do with counters, having this.
All right.
I think we need to start setting up a reminder for this call right before it happens.
I actually, well, the invite works really great, but I went ahead and went in my calendar and just set it up for here on out, just 2:30 and put the link in there. So
I think I'm going to
It was
create
last-
a plan today and just have it send an email out to you guys right beforehand.
yeah, because I forgot last week. I remembered it about 4:30. So
How's Miss Shoshana doing? I know you got a bunch of deals working. How are those coming across?
Working on them. We're gonna go see 3 houses after this meeting.
Awesome. That's exciting news.
Yeah.
Where are they all at? Up in Oro Valley? Or are you guys opening horizons?
No, all in Oro. No, actually 2 in Catalina and the other in Oro Valley.
That's awesome. Everything is awesome. Okay. Miss Heather, how's your new build coming along?
It seems to be going. We haven't heard anything else about the loan or from them. They're still it's still waiting on a few more people inside Meritage to sign stuff.
Gotcha.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, do I go ahead and do I need to wait for them to all sign it before I submit the contract, or should I just download it and
I'd submit it now and then just put in the notes that you're going to have the fully executed one coming in soon.
okay.
Just to get compliant, just to open up the loop and have that conversation.
Okay.
All right. Got some more people jumping on. Letha, welcome. Jacob, welcome. How are you, Miss Robin?
I am doing well, thank you.
Good.
How
Heather,
do I add a page on Command and Designs?
how do you add a page?
Yeah.
A page in what?
So here, let me flip the camera. So I'm making this for my open house so I can give it to the people at the gate that hand out. And I want to add a page and put it on the back of this page, a map how they get to the open house. And I can't figure out how to add a page to do that.
I can't see it on your screen, so.
I don't really know how to like show it better.
No, that template isn't designed to have 2 pages. That's why, because otherwise you'd have a second page at the bottom. Is there no way where it says pages to add new?
No, I don't see anything.
So,
All right.
design. I mean, if you jumped into the meeting on your computer, I could help you share it and we could look at it that way, but I'm not going to take too much time on this because we need to cover some other things.
You can just cover the other things.
So I'm going to check in this real quick and see if I can't figure it out. And you did print, right?
Yeah, print and then open house. And I think it was like the first one that came up. Listings and then open house.
And open house. And you did that first one?
Yeah.
Okay. They've updated this, by the way, if you guys didn't know. They have heard y'all's upset with it, so. I don't see it, brother. Maybe it's
Yeah,
just-
no worries. I'll just like make a map and then like staple it or something.
Yeah, so.
Old
Bifold
school staple still works.
Staples are good things.
Yeah.
You can always print it and then feed it back through your printer and print on the other side.
Yeah, that's always an idea. Yeah, no, it's not getting me the add page button, which I'm looking for. So I think the best bet would be what we're talking about is getting the print it out, then reprint it with a map on the back instead of doing staples. I think that'd be a little cleaner. Or you can do a trifold version and redesign it so your map just fits in there somewhere. I sent out a Google Docs survey a couple mornings ago, really early in the morning, plus an email. I got about 14 responses back on that. If you guys don't have it, go into your emails, check for my email address, bigdancaldwell@gmail, and check spam and add me to your safe senders list. I would like everyone that has not filled that out to please do so. Jorge, thank you again for doing so. It's super helpful because it allows me some insight on your guys' motivations, what's helpful. But I'm going to be doing some more things like that to help bring in more engagement, more resources to you. The shared drive that we have on our Google page, I need access by KW email. So if I do not have your KW email, I'm sorry to tell you, you probably don't have access to our shared drive. You have it through the link, but it won't be shared to you where you can access it freely at a whim, make it easier. I'd like that to be part of your homework for today. But I'm getting a lot of questions about what to do with counter offers, what to do with multiple counter offers. In the event that you guys are submitting an offer, there are some key things that's going to help make your offer stronger. Now, I'm going to open it up to the group and have a conversation. What are some things that we can put on our offers to make them strong?
Type of funding.
Okay, type of funding. What else?
Don't ask for seller concession.
No seller concessions. Okay, no asking, right? What else?
Avoid the home warranty. Don't add a home warranty.
Yeah, or if the buyer pays for it themselves, right?
Right.
It's not a
Right.
bad thing. It does trip up people when they see that home warranty box is there. They oftentimes don't look and show that it's being paid for by the buyer. What else?
Shorten the inspection period.
Okay, shorten the inspection period. If you're doing the shortening of the inspection period, make sure you communicate with your inspectors that they have the bandwidth or the time available to get out there sooner, or you can get all the inspections you want done. What kind of inspections should you do on a house?
Home inspection.
Home inspection, general inspection, right? What else?
Termite.
Pest inspection, wood destroying insects, termites, rats, whatever. What else?
Roof.
Roof inspections, really? Those three are pretty much on everything, right?
And sewer.
Sewer.
Sewer, often overlooked. Plumbing inspections, often overlooked. Can plumbing inspections cause you big grief?
Yes.
Big time. What's another inspection you should be thinking about?
If you're rural, you might need a well inspection.
Okay, that's more of, I was thinking number 6, but number 5 is it's more that we can put on almost every house. So far we have the general inspection, the pest inspection, the roof inspection, the plumbing and sewer inspection. What could be pretty much generic?
HVAC.
HVAC, heating, cooling systems. Those are massively important. Those 5, right? Those 5. Make sure your 5 vendors can cover the spread if you're doing a shortened inspection period, or get one inspector that can do all 5. Now, some other ancillary inspections that you can do. We've already got well, right? Well water.
Septic.
Septic and
Pool.
pool. So Those 8 inspection categories are typically what you're looking for. So if you're going to go along the routes of shortening your inspection period, make sure if you're in one of those 8 categories, you can get that inspection done in time. All right, how else do we strengthen our offers?
Shorter close of escrow time.
Be
If
agreeable.
possible.
Yeah, I wouldn't say just shorter. Be agreeable on your close of escrow. And how do we find out what's agreeable for close of escrow?
Call the other agent.
Ask your lender.
Mind blown. Mind blown. You mean to tell me, Amber, that if I call the other agent and I can find out some details about the offer that may make my offer stronger than somebody else's?
If, only one if, they pick up the phone and to have that conversation.
Are you telling me that agents don't answer their phone? Come on.
A lot of them will answer text though.
Oh, sure. You're not wrong about that, Michael.
The biggest way we can help our offers win, and I want you to write this down if you haven't done so, the biggest way we can help our offers win is by communicating with the other agent and finding out what's important to the seller. And how do we do that?
Pick up the phone.
Yep, you said it, and I heard Robin's lips say it. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, call them, text them, ask the question. And what question is that, Amber?
Hey, when are your sellers planning on moving out? Do they have any, actual plans on a deadline or a date that they would be more willing to, accept our contract over somebody else's?
There you go. What's another question you can ask to get some information? Mike? We lost Michael Winding.
No, I'm here. I just I'm special. I can't hit the mute button. Closing costs. If they're asking for closing costs, ask them, is there wiggle room in there? Or is there something that we can, be able to kind of cut out and make it a stronger offer?
Right. Robin, what's another question you've asked a listing agent to find out what's important to help your offers be successful?
What is important to your seller that I could address in my offer that will help make this offer stand out?
It's just kind of a general question, right? What's important to your seller? It's not always a closing time. It's not always net to profit. Net to profit's important, but it's not the only factor. So how do we write stronger offers? We know what's important to the sellers before we write an offer. You pick up the phone, you have a conversation, you find out some key information so that you can be more informed and discuss with your buyers and say, hey, listen, they don't want to move out for next 60 days. They're building a custom home. It'll be done at the end of February. They want at least a month to move out. So why don't we close late in April? Give them extra time. Or the opposite. We don't know until we ask. Now, what happens if you have a buyer that has to sell their house in order to buy another house? What should you do?
Call title.
Call the phone.
I mean, after the fact, but anyway, make
Always
sure that you're giving them enough time before. You want to make sure it's a consecutive close.
Right. Make sure we can close them at the same time, and then we can do one of two things. We can do plan A, which is find them a house, get it under contract, sell their house, and close them at the same time. A simultaneous close. It's not as hard and difficult as you think because all parties are working together to get things done. I have seen a 7-leg simultaneous close. What does that mean? It means one sale is contingent upon the other 6 happening. Back down the chain, we were actually stop 3. We were dead center of it. Somebody selling a house in Ohio to buy a house in Texas to sell the house here to my clients to buy it so they can sell their house and buy another house and another house. And it was a pain in the ass. And I can tell you that I had never had so many email chains with so many realtors all just working together. It was a beautiful symphony, but it worked. It only worked because we all talked to each other. We knew what was going on. When shit happened upstream, we heard about it. but you have to call the other agent. Now, if they cannot, and they have to sell it, and there's going to be a delay, or maybe they can't find a house, what options do you have for your buyers?
I don't want to say it, but pre or post possession.
Lease carrybacks, lease
Oh,
back,
yeah.
right? We can sell the house, have a lease back purchase, meaning that they are going to live in the house for a month afterwards and pay rent to the new owners because they sold their house so they can go buy another one. Is that an option? Is it legal? Did you
I would
know
like to learn more on that, on how to do that. You know, it just would prevent, I think, a lot of headache.
it's
I've
there's-
had 2 transactions that were not, they didn't go the way the other agent wanted to go. So I was just kind of like, my side always pushed back on the request.
and it's usually because your clients want to be moving on to their next chapter.
Right. But I wonder like how that works in a conversation with the leaseback. Like, I'm not well rehearsed on leaseback, so I need more education on that.
A lease carryback, and to its simplest form, is literally just a month-to-month agreement to rent the house.
But that's not a pre or post possession.
Those are completely different.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why I wish I would have known about these things, because it would help alleviate the pain when people are asking for a pre or post possession.
So that's the thing, is post-possession and pre-possession are just a couple of days. A lease carryback or an owner carryback or something you want to talk about. So a lease, purchase the lease, so sell the lease carryback, meaning they're going to sell the house and then rent it back from the new owners for a short period of time, is typically anything that happens for a month or so. A post or pre-possession, meaning the buyers are allowed to move in before it closes, pre-possession, or the sellers are allowed to stay after it closes, post-possession, are agreements that are similar to a day-to-day rental. A lease carryback is the extension of about up to a month or more. Pre and
That's what I was gonna-
carrybacks are scary things.
Yeah, I've had one, but I do remember the pre-possession did have in there, you know, whether they wanted to charge day by day. We were about 4, well, including a weekend, we were 5 days, and it's just kind of nerve-wracking because anything can happen and you hope nothing does.
You are not kidding. Anything can happen. The deal can blow up and stuff like that, but there are options if you don't want to use them.
What about the lease carryback? What is the longest length of time? I mean, it
99 years.
no, really? Okay,
A lease carryback is no different. All it is effectively the seller sells the house and a new buyer rents it back to them. And you can have a 99-year lease.
So when do you do that at when you're submitting an offer?
Yes. You would want that as part of your offer bundles, or you would have that as part of the conversation when you're doing so. Because I even had conversations as a buyer's agent, called the listing agent, and say, hey, what's important to the client? I bring up that conversation all the time about custom built, right? One of my team members came from last had a deal where we were the listing agents, and the buyers were building a custom home in Dove Mountain that wasn't gonna be done for 8 or 9 months. And they're like, hey, we need a longer extension on close date. Is that gonna be okay? And they were apprehensive about putting the offer in because they figured, $400,000 price point, they want to sell it quick and get out. And they couldn't do that. However, the biggest thing is the fact that a seller was able to work out their interest, being I'm building a custom home later on in the thing, and then all of a sudden we got this buyer that wants to come in but doesn't want to close escrow for 4 or 5 months. Well, that only puts us a couple of months out, and then they lease carry back the rest of the time, so that the buyer wasn't urged, and then they sold it.
And that's why I asked that question, Dan, because I have a seller that's buying a
Hey, buddy,
custom home.
call back.
Huh?
Sorry, I was trying to get my phone to quit ringing. So
Oh, okay. I have a seller that wants to list his house, but doesn't want to list his house because obviously we're going to list it in a price where it's probably going to go within a couple days. And he doesn't want, because the new construction, obviously we keep pushing back and pushing back. Is that a conversation I need to have with my seller? But if that's only if the buyer, right? See, that's where I get, which side is actually comes up with the least carryback? Or do I just not list his house until he has a window of closing on his other house?
that could be an option too, but we don't want to lose the opportunity. But we also want to
Exactly.
make sure.
That's why I want to talk. Should I talk to him about lease carryback?
Yeah. Mr. Seller, are you open to selling your house and renting it back from the new buyers for a couple of months until we find you your new house while we can capitalize on the high interest, the high investment you can get now? Some people don't want to do that because they're like, oh no, I'm just gonna be wasting money on rent. But also sometimes they're just like, yeah, I want to sell the house because I want to get this next house. And not everybody can buy multiple houses.
Well, luckily my seller is in that position to buy multiple houses. I just don't know if we want to keep waiting, I guess, is my question.
Waiting now will increase the interest he pays later. Unless it's a cash deal, it doesn't matter.
Could it be in a contingency?
You cannot put a contingency on the sale of a house.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You can control the outcome, the closing dates and stuff like that, but you can't say the sale of my house is contingent on the purchase of another one. It is, however, the opposite. The purchase of this house is contingent upon the sale of another one. That is okay because that protects the consumer. The AZRE guidelines, the paperwork we have protects the consumer, the buyer, more than it does the seller.
So would you put that in a counter offer?
You can put it in the counter offer, and that's what we're going to get into. Counter offers, multiple counters. You can do anything. So you get offer. Let's say we get offer for 150,000 over asking price and all this other nonsense, and we don't think it's going to appraise. So we're going to counter back a realistic understanding, but we're going to ask them to release it back to us. All we have to do as the counter is just create the negotiation on the backside. So I'm going to jump into here real quick so we can share screen. We can look at what a counter offer looks like if you've never seen one. This is DocuSign. If you don't know what DocuSign is, I go to command. I went to opportunities. I clicked on my opportunity, which is inactive. It's Bugs Bunny, Main Street. I go to my documents. And this is my deal. This is the deal I'm working on. 123 Main Street with Bugs Bunny. I'm going to my transaction, which loads me into DocuSign, which loads me into that room. So let's say that we have an offer on a house. They send us the offer, and I'm just going to pull up an offer. Okay, where is purchase offer? I'm just going to print.
You trying to add?
Save attachment. I want to do it so you guys can see it pop in there.
Oh, gotcha.
So the two ways of doing so is you can click and drag it like I just did, and it's going to pop up purchase contract. Or you can add it by clicking add from your computer after you've downloaded it to your hard drive. I've got to say that because unfortunately there's some people in our program that do not know how to add documents from their computer or how to go away. Or how to bring them in from their email. So if it's in your email, download it to a computer drive where you can find it, and then you can upload it by computer and then searching. I don't know if you guys can see the window that popped up, or just by searching at where it's at. So that's on you, or you can save it to your hard drive or your desktop and just click and drag it over. Now, we know that we're going to counter because we've got this offer here. Robin, I apologize. I actually think this might be one of yours. Village View. Yep. But we see here, $216,000. They want to close in September. Great. All of this stuff is great. We didn't want to give the washer and dryer. We're giving that to our daughter. They want $5,900 in closing costs. We're going to say no. We don't want Catalina title. We want Bubba's title. And we're continuing looking through the rest of this stuff. I know I'm going fast, but these are some key things that you need to look for in an offer. we kind of already covered it a bunch of times when you're writing the offer, but you want to look for what they're asking for. The most important three things, right? Sales price, your financing, this whole page, what type of financing, seller concessions, who's paying for the appraisal. They will sneak in that on seller. They'll sneak that in there on you. So we're checking for those. And then lastly is your home warranty. Those are the things that are going to be boilerplate because those kind of sit in there. We always look for them. Also be cautious of what's on page 8. So we want to put a counter in, right? So what we have to do is our sellers still need to sign it as if they were accepting it. But the difference is we're going to check the box here for a counter attached. A counter offer is attached and incorporated. We're then going to go back into our DocuSign. Sorry, I got to close this. We're going to add a document. Arizona Association of Realtor forms. Counter offer number 1. So we've got counter offer. We're the seller, right? This pops up pretty simple. Counter offer 1. Originated by the seller. This counter offer to the original offer, sellers Bugs Bunny and Babs Bunny. We would type in the buyer's name. The address should be in here. Now we're going to put here what our terms are going to be. So it's 218. We want $219,000.
I'm sorry, what's the AAR?
Arizona Association of Realtors. See?
Is it
Are we-
important to include that? I just wrote addendum and I just put purchase contract.
I'm doing this because this is how I was taught. You literally can get away with just putting purchase price shall be, seller concession shall be. This cuts out absolutely any gray zone. So you could fill in line 18, line 19, just to follow suit. You know what I'm saying?
So then you're basically referencing the purchase agreement and the lines on the purchase agreement that you're changing, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Do we have to put AAR? Because I haven't on mine.
I like I said, this is just how I was taught because it cuts out literally all gray zone. Now, let's say we're changing some on the HOA. Was it 37 in the back or 67 in the back?
You know, they need to teach us more of that because that's good information. I thought I had to redo the HOA.
Mm-mm. This is a counter offer.
I just didn't know we could use the same form for multiple forms.
We can literally cover any form that's incorporated in the contract. And why can we do that? Someone tell me.
It's our counter offer.
It's their counter. I'll show you guys in a second. We put our new agreements in here, new terms. We're agreeing to the contract except for these items. These are the items that we're challenging or changing. We want a response by What is today's date? 28. So we're going to put tomorrow's date, 29. So 1/29/2021 at 5 p.m. We are the sellers. We do not touch lines 30 through 42. That is for the buyers. Save and close. And then you send it for your sellers to sign it on lines 26 and 28 only, and then send it out. Now, the reason that we can, the reason we can manipulate multiple documents is because of 1F, addenda incorporated. This means that the addenda attached are incorporated into this agreement. They mean that become one and the same. If it has additional clauses, buyer contingency, domestic water, HOA, lead-based paint, any of these things, they're incorporated into that purchase contract. So
Sweet, thank you.
the buyer or the seller misses a signature on something, you can correct it. Now,
What do you mean by correct it? You can go back to the original doc and re-sign?
I don't think James missed anything. Let's just say on here, let's go most commonly missed. Line 450, if it was internal and they mark just buyer, even though the seller is both, it should be both. But Ms. Robin wrote this contract and she is point on when she does her contracts. We can go into our counter. And we could also put, let's just consider 450. That way, in the contract, it is agreed upon that these items are corrected. Oftentimes, it's better to handle clerical stuff like this through an addendum after you're already under contract. But if you're asking for other changes in the contract, put them all on the counter. Get them all lined up.
I've got a question on that. So to the consent to limitation representation, why do we need that?
Because the consent to limited representation outlines that you've had the conversation with your client that in the event that somebody from our brokerage represents the other party, they know that they are having limited representation, being that the broker cannot advise either side one way or the other.
But when they sign the HOA or the when they sign the read form, and when we talk about when they signed a listing agreement or buyers, you know, a purchase contract, you're supposed to have that conversation anyway. Like, I don't.
This puts it in, the READ is not part of the contract.
Right. But what
It's
I'm saying,
an advisory form that says you have the conversation that you are presenting them with agency and they're allowing you to, one, be the representative as a buyer's broker, as well as show them properties also marketed by the same broker. That's the agreement. Now, when they go under contract, the limited representation agreement, the consent to limited representation, is the agreement that we are embedding into the contract that the buyer and seller agree that the buyer and seller's agent is the same broker. Therefore, they will have limited representation. It will be a neutral party. We as agents cannot divulge material information that would put either party in a negotiating deficit or positive for that matter. That is just their agreements to saying, yes, we have had this conversation and we are giving you written agreement that you notice a limited representation form has 2 signatures.
Mhm.
The READ only has 1.
okay.
On the listing agreement, it says you can have dual agency because they're allowing you to market it to other Keller Williams agents. Otherwise, you'd have to cut out 400 agents from the marketplace. Great question.
Yeah.
Now, next form. Before I move on, any questions about the counter offer so far? So we sign the contract like normal. We check the counter offer box on the back page. So we would sign the contract like normal. We would sign it right here, but we would check box 467. We would check it, identifying that, yes, we're agreeing to this contract with the counter offer attached, meaning the terms and agreements in this contract in its entirety have been agreed to, except for the items that we are now going to counter. And those items have to be that we want more on the sales price. We're not going to pay any closing costs. We want a different title company. And you forgot to check the right box on line 450. This is now our new agreement. The other agreement is nullified. It's now not, we are no longer in a contract scenario where we have now become the offeree. We are offering the buyers these terms. You want to make sure you have the box checks that got unchecked somehow. And when you have an offer, I didn't put the date on here. When you have the offer, it's the date you received the offer. So we're going to imagine we got it today. If it's a counter offer, it's the date you received the counter offer. So if they counter us tomorrow and say, yes, we'll take everything, but we don't want Bubba's title. Okay, great. That's when you're going to be able to send it off to your sellers to sign it, or your buyers to sign another version for counter 2 and counter 3 and counter 4, counter 53. It doesn't matter. At one point, you should be picking up the phone and discussing the terms. At what point?
Oh, I usually do it before I send the first offer.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know.
You want to reduce the
Sometimes I don't
time
like
to
that.
go back and forth? You call them up and say, hey, I'm going to send you over an offer. What's important to your sellers? Great. And if you know you're already off pace, you're going to tell your buyers, hey, this is what they told me. We're going to submit the offer anyways. The seller's agent gets that call. They said, hey, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. We got an offer. It looks fantastic. I'll go over it with you here in a minute. They go over it and say, what would you like to do? You know what? Hey, we really like the offer. We'd like more for this. We're not going to pay for that. Now, at that point, if you're the listing agent, you need to pick up the phone and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer's agent, got some news for you. The sellers are thinking about it. How important is blank, 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 and blank?
Right.
Is there some middle ground? Is there a win-win scenario here? Because you can either have a conversation, build rapport, and work it out, or you can do 53 back and forth emails, piss off all parties, and lose the deal altogether. Which would you like to do?
Win-win.
Let's do a win-win, all right? It's the number one thing on our Y4C2T is win-win or no what?
No deal.
No deal. All right. Now, let's put on our listing agent caps right now. Listing agent caps in the market with listings. What are we seeing?
98.4% of purchase price or list price.
99.6.
99.6. Okay, I was thinking of Aaron's stats yesterday, but I have a lot of numbers in my head.
I've seen a lot of offers.
Multiple offers.
Multiple offers. Q term, right? Multiple offers. So we are going to look at what it looks like to respond to multiple offers at the same time. We're going to go to add. We're going to go to documents. You guys can't see the box, but I'm clicking on Arizona Forms under the library tab, and I'm going to click on multiple. Now, there is a multiple counter offer, and there's a multiple offer / counter offer. You need to use multiple counter offer as the listing agent. The multiple offer / counter offer is as a buyer's agent identifying that you are submitting offers on multiple houses. Now, this is the multiple counter offer because it doesn't have the slash. We need to put number on it. If this is the first time we are going to counter any of the deals, it still is number 1. We're going to counter back the offer that was sent to us today, right? We have Bugs Bunny, Babs Bunny, and Mr. Buyer and Mrs. Buyer. I know sexist, right? Could be Mrs. I don't know. I'm just saying Mr. and Mrs. So you guys know they're different. This is just saying the seller is making one or more counter offer or offers to other prospective buyers in the terms that may or may not be the same. What's cool about this, and if you guys remember, you got to remember, just because you get a counter offer of a multiple counter that says one thing, another party could have gotten something completely different. This right here just says that the offers, the terms that may or may not be the same as contained herein. Acceptance of this multiple counter offer by the buyer shall not be binding until it is subsequently finally accepted by the seller. And final acceptance is delivered per section 8M of the contract to the buyer's broker within the time specified. What does that mean?
that means just because you accept it, you don't have,
Letha, is your camera on?
no,
I know you have bedhead at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Come on now.
I haven't been feeling good today.
Okay. All right, go ahead, because you and Amber are talking at the same time.
Just because you're accepting the counter offer doesn't mean you've got the house.
The seller has final say.
Exactly.
So let's look at this. We've got 10 offers. 5 of them are cash, 5 of them are financed. The 5 cash offers are all about the same, except for one of them is asking for you to leave the hot tub and you didn't want to. They're all about the same. They're $500 in variance, right? The 5 that are financed are all about the same, except for 1 or 2 are asking for closing costs. Your seller decides they want to compete with 3 of the cash offers. They're not taking the hot tub. That's out. They don't like the guy from Colorado. Didn't like the way he presented his offer. There's 3 cash offers. One's for $300, one's for $305, one's for $295.5, right? $500 difference. Of the other contracts, they're taking the conventional loan, they're taking the FHA that's not asking for closing costs. Now we have 5 offers that are in the running. You can send a different counter to all 5 clients, asking them to come up to 301,000, asking this person to come up to 301,000, and asking for this person to change their close date to be 10 days sooner. Am I making sense? So even though there's 5 contracts in the wind, all 5 of them could have different terms and agreements. If your buyer says, well, yeah, I'll accept those terms. I'll raise my bid to 301,000. Great. Let's get this deal done. And they submit it. Do they have the house? Why is that?
It hasn't been finally accepted.
No.
I'm making it very redundant and kind of juvenile, but it's seeking the point. The seller has final say. Now, if the seller sends you a multiple counter offer and your clients want to change one of those elements of the offer, what form do you use?
The
Counter.
counter offer one.
Right. So the multiple counter offer here. Do I need to
So-
sign? Pardon me, guys. There's someone at my door.
No.
There is. There's a Pinal, a Caldwell, and a Olaboni. So now we're switching our hats. We as sellers have sent off 5 different counter offers, multiple counter offers to the prospective buyers. 3 of them said, we're good. We're pulling out. 2 of them, one buyer, one cash, one finance, say, yeah, we're in. We're going to change some stuff. They want to sweeten the deal, so they write a counter to our counter. It becomes very convoluted at this point, but I want you to understand that the volley happens here is our first initial here is purchase price shall be 301,000, right? We want response by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Now the buyer either accepts it in its totality. Yep, we're going to pay 301. Or they go and do a buyer response. And from that point, they just go and do their own counter. What number does that counter become?
2.
2. Okay. So when you're responding to a multiple counter offer, you can accept the terms that were given, and that's it. You can also counter with a normal counter form, changing something else. I call it sweetening the pot. So let's say you got it. They say 301,000. It's a multiple counter. So now you as a client know that there's multiple offers on this house that they may or may not be sending multiple counters to. And you can come back and say, you know what? I want this house, give them 310. So you respond to the multiple counter with a counter and saying, hey, 310,000, counter offer number 2. We'd like your answer by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Am I clear? 2 things to think about on multiple counters. Think about how can you win. This is renegotiating without conversation. How can you win and how fast can you reply? I have won multiple counters just by being the first person to respond. Speed to response is important on a multiple counter because you want the sellers to get antsy. You're like, 305,000? Boom, let's take it. Even though like tomorrow afternoon, they're like, we'll do 307. Should have said something yesterday, bud. So
Yeah, 'cause they can accept it at any time. They don't have to, as long as they're there before or accept something before the time, right? They don't have to wait.
No, they do not. They do not. And that's why I always try to get people to put response in quickly. Because if you have the opportunity to respond, you know there are multiple offers out there and you've got a little bit more room that you can wiggle and what I've done is I've taken away closing costs. They counter me on a sales price and go up 4,000 or 5,000. I agree to that. I was like, okay. Because if you don't change anything in the next counter, those agreements stay in place. Sales price shall be 301,000 plus. I'm going to say closing costs on line 101 reduced to only $2,000. Buyer shall pay for their own home warranty. Anything you can do to sweeten the pot increases the likelihood of you getting that deal. If you put a strong offer up front, let it stand on its own, that's fantastic. And sometimes an all-in offer is an all-in offer. Sometimes when you get a counter, it gets the husband or the wife or the boyfriend or what have you to get a little bit more motivated. They're like, hey, listen, they're talking to us now. They're giving us the opportunity to do a multiple counter. What would you like to do? And then they're like, oh, there's multiple deals. Okay, honey, what do you want to do? Do we have an extra couple $1,000s? I mean, can we give them our son? I've got a gold duck in my backyard they can have. So does that help clarify a little bit of the process of counter offers and multiple counter offers?
So has there been ever like a buyer to pay the fees associated to the seller?
Absolutely.
I've never seen it yet, so that's why I was just curious.
You can put that on page 8 of your normal offer.
Oh,
Buyer shall pay seller's closing costs.
got it. 'Cause it's minimal.
Yeah, a couple $1,000s.
No, I had a buyer looking to pay my seller's closing costs, including my commission, so that they came out of pocket with nothing and they got the full, but my buyer wouldn't take it because they were still coming under what was being asked, but in the process, that was there. I was like, why didn't you just offer the 43,000?
Any other questions? This is time. You got 10 minutes of my time. This is where I want you to ask questions that help clarify so you're 100% clear.
So if I'm representing the seller in that transaction and I have 5 counter offers that I just made to the potential buyers, and then you answer right away 10 minutes later, and I get your counter offer and I accept your counter offer, but I haven't heard from the other 4 yet. Then me as the realtor for the seller, I have to let them know he has accepted an offer already.
Right.
Okay. So he cannot just continue waiting for the other offers anymore.
He does not have to. And that's what gives the seller final choice, because if they make an agreement, so typically how it works is if a counter is sent, approved, and then received, you're under contract.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to do that, let's say you send out 5 counter offers, not multiple, 5 counter offers, because you're a terrible agent. You don't know what you're doing. And the first agent that gets that counter signed, agreed, and returned to you is under contract. The next one that gets it back to you, guess what? They're also under, and you might be liable for some problems.
So you have to use the multiple counter offer.
Yeah. So in a way, the multiple counter offer form is like a disclaimer to the parties interested in the property that there are different offers here. So they're all aware that there are multiple offers. They're not secret offers anywhere.
No. And what I actually got one this morning, Annette Mukamorenzi. I wish she was on this call. So this morning she got one that she was freaking out about, didn't understand. Multiple counter offers. She hadn't seen one before. That's what kind of prompted this conversation. And then Jorge on his PC questionnaire had said something about counters, like this is a perfect time. And all it said was seller has received multiple offers and is presenting the opportunity to all parties to submit their highest and best offer. At this time, if your client would like to revise their offer or withdraw their offer, they can do so. Which is great. It's a multiple counter. It's the same verbiage. It probably went out to all parties. But what it does is it allows them to receive an offer, a counter, and then final approval. So, because at that point, it becomes multiple counter, counter, counter. You can't multiple counter after the counter.
How much time do you usually allow for those offers to happen? Like a day?
The initial offer, depending on what's in the MLS, I try to do the end of the next business day. But then again, Saturday, Sunday are also business days to me too. So if I'm writing an offer on Friday at 9 o'clock at night, I'll give them till Sunday midday. If I'm writing an offer at 9 o'clock on Monday, I'm giving them till Tuesday at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Typically 24 hours, but I like to read the storybook. I think Robin's done some where she did responses at 10 a.m. I want a response in the morning, or, we've gotten some clients that we've looked at where they say, please just submit offers between Monday and Friday at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Offers won't be reviewed until out then. So you get an offer at Friday, don't get a response until Monday. So act accordingly. If you're a listing agent, you've got clients that are out of state, out of country, out of town, out of contact, make sure you give yourself extra time in your agreement. So in the agent notes in your listings, please give 48 hours for seller response. Seller's out of town. Please give 72 hours for seller response, out of country. Please type in Mandarin. That was a joke. Thank you, Robin. Any other further questions, guys?
Just note to self, just make sure you send anybody that you're not accepting an offer, just let them know. Because then they're going to start blowing up your phone and be like, where are we at? What are we doing? That type of thing. So just be courteous to, I've seen a lot of issues on Facebook too. Other agents not letting other agents know that their offer wasn't accepted. And same with me, because the stress of your client, they don't need that extra stress. So on both sides of the transaction, just make sure you tell everybody.
I was on the broker class with Nancy the other day, and it was about Binzers, but they were talking about rejected offers. And she was saying how it really is super important to get them to sign that rejected offer. But if they're not going to do that, you have to cover yourself that you asked for it, and because I hardly ever can get the other agent to send me a signed rejected.
I sent an email.
Yeah, we just got an email on that from the ADRE as well as other brokers. So if you have a signer, so if you have a seller with multiple offers, please communicate with them on the professionalism of rejecting it formally. Now, how do we do that? You may ask. Great question, Robin. Thank you for asking that. Miss Bender's on top of it today. She's all, I didn't know I asked that, but thank you. So you get the purchase contract, right? You upload it in your .loop or your DocuSign, whatever you're using. We are moving to DocuSign. I will tell you that Kristen Cole is a big believer in using Command for everything. Purchase contract. You have multiple in there. Make sure you rename them. All you have to do to prove that the offer was presented is the seller will not sign up here. They will click box 473, put the date, seller's initials. This signifies that your offer was presented and formally rejected. An email is not good enough. Okay.
What I'm saying is an email from the person that, if it was, hey, I know you're not, we didn't meet the suspense time. I'm like, where are we at? I need at least something saying that you're rejecting my offer or that our offer was not accepted.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't do the formal.
No, please.
They're like, I don't have to do that. I don't have to give you any response. I'm like,
Yeah, you do.
however, my broker wants a response.
Actually, they do. They have to prove that they submitted your offer. They have to prove that they submitted your offer.
I didn't even think of it like that.
And the only way to get proof they submitted your offer is
Rejected.
having it rejected,
Initialed.
correctly initialed. So awesome, guys. I am trying to line up an inspector for Monday. So you guys can have a question answer kind of thing for an inspector on Monday. What do they look for? What are some key things? So either this week or next week, keep an eye out tomorrow or this weekend for the invite updates. So for 2:30 on Monday's call. And if you have not done so and you got that questionnaire, go into your emails right now. Make sure that my email is not flagged as spam. You got me as a safe sender. Add me to your safe senders lists. Go in there and look for the PC email I sent out, PC questionnaire from, Wednesday morning at 3:00 in the morning.
You were not sleeping. What were you doing up then?
I couldn't sleep. I was up at like 12:30. Didn't go back to bed until 4:45. Woke up at 7.
I'm pretty sure I answered it at like 1:00 in the morning. So, I mean,
Yeah, I didn't get a time frame on when it was answered, but it was it's important. It's simple questions. It's name, what your communication preference is. I try to talk to you guys every week and I try to have conversations with you. But if you're like me, you don't like phone calls. A text message will do. If it's going to be a long text message, say, hey, it's too long to text. Can we talk? Or like Amber does, and I love it. Hey, you got 5 seconds? You got a minute? You got 5 minutes? You got 10 minutes? And then when I have time, I have that conversation. And it's usually right then and there. But I want you to have all the resources, all the coaching, all the mentorship, everything you possibly need to be successful in real estate. And the only way I can get it to you is if you tell me how to get it to you. I hope that I'm bringing you enough value in classes and trainings and stuff like that, that you can find the avenue and course that you can carve out to be super successful in this business. I am proud as hell to say that we did 198 deals last year. I want to double that this year. I can tell you we're not off to a good start. But this is where we change it all. So
It's only the 3rd week of January. We'll get there. I'm not worried.
So thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. I hope you learned a lot. Let me know if you got suggestions or if you want to learn on a specific topic, let me know, because you may not be alone in that. Send me a text, send me an email, send me a smoke signal. Just make sure I'm looking for them. Shoshana's like, I can do smoke signals. Yeah. So other than that, my friends, have a wonderful Thursday. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. scripts and role play. I'll see you there, scripts and tricks. And I'm teaching at Life in the Agents tomorrow on Ignite. So if you're in Ignite course, I'll see you then. Other than that, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Big Dan.